The Galactic Academy's training facility hummed with the sterile efficiency of 1,000 worlds unified under one banner. In Combat Theory Room 7 Beta, Stephanie Chen sat among her fellow cadets, her human frame noticeably smaller than most of the assembled species. The Cravathi towered at nearly 8 feet. The molluscan delegates rippled with muscular pseudopods. Even the insectoid Threx possessed natural exoskeletons that could deflect plasma bursts. Instructor Vector, a decorated Cravathi warrior with silver scales and 4 arms capable of rending durasteel, paced before the class with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. His reputation preceded him: 300 planetary campaigns, master of 17 martial disciplines, undefeated in the arena championships for 6 consecutive cycles. "Today," Vector announced, his voice reverberating through his chest cavity, "we discuss biological limitations and tactical disadvantages." His eyes, all 4 of them, settled on Stephanie. "Human, step forward." Stephanie rose calmly, her lean 5'6" frame moving with practiced fluidity. Her classmate Harrison shot her a concerned glance from 2 rows back, but she gave him a subtle nod. She'd handled worse than classroom demonstrations. "Observe," Vector continued, addressing the class as Stephanie approached the demonstration platform. "Humans are Category 7 durability species, fragile endoskeletons, minimal natural armor, no venom, no claws, no redundant organ systems." He circled her like a predator assessing prey. "Their homeworld is a death world, yes, but this makes them reckless, not formidable." The instructor grabbed Stephanie's right wrist with one of his lower hands. His grip was immediate and crushing, a demonstration of Cravathi strength versus human fragility. Stephanie's face remained impassive even as the pressure increased. "Note the structural weakness," Vector said clinically. "Human bone density is—" The crack was audible throughout the chamber. Stephanie's radius snapped like dry wood. Several cadets gasped. The molluscan representative made a sound of distress. Stephanie didn't scream. Her jaw tightened and her pupils dilated, but her breathing remained controlled. The pain was extraordinary, white-hot signals firing through her nervous system, but pain was just information, data to be processed and filed away. Vector released her wrist, clearly expecting tears, shock, or at minimum a cry for medical assistance. What he got instead was something that made his experienced warrior's instincts suddenly scream danger. Stephanie smiled. "Fascinating," she said softly, cradling her broken wrist against her abdomen. "Now let me demonstrate human tactical adaptation." What happened next occurred in less than 3 seconds, though Harrison would later swear he saw every microsecond in crystal clarity. Stephanie's left hand snapped forward, fingers rigid, striking Vector's lower throat with surgical precision. The instructor's physiology included a nerve cluster there, something Stephanie had memorized from xenobiology texts most cadets considered optional reading. His entire right side spasmed. She pivoted inside his guard as his upper arms reflexively moved to protect his throat. Her broken right arm, useless for striking, became a hook she used to pull his head down while her left hand gripped the back of his skull. Her legs swept his forward stance. The leverage was everything. Human evolution had spent millions of years learning to use tools and angles to compensate for physical disadvantages. Stephanie's body became a lever, Vector's overextension became the fulcrum, and momentum became the force multiplier. The Cravathi instructor, 300 pounds of scaled muscle and warrior pride, went down. Stephanie followed him to the ground, maintaining her grip, using his own weight and her positioning to trap his massive frame. Her thighs locked around his shoulder, hyperextending his neck. Vector thrashed, his superior strength suddenly meaningless against human biomechanics. His free arms grabbed at her, but she'd positioned herself in his dead angle, and his panic made him inefficient. "Humans evolved as endurance predators," Stephanie said calmly, her voice steady despite the agony radiating from her shattered wrist. We don't have venom or claws. We have something better. We have spite and the willingness to break our own bones to break yours. She adjusted her position, and Vekthor's thrashing became desperate. The class sat frozen, unable to process what they were witnessing. "Yield," Stephanie said quietly. Vekthor's pride, that warrior's ego built over decades of victories, wouldn't let him submit to a creature he'd just dismissed as fragile. He tried to muscle free, his scales scraping audibly against the platform floor. Stephanie sighed. "Your choice?" She torqued her entire body. The sound was like a tree branch splitting, wet and organic and final. Vekthor's cervical vertebrae separated with a catastrophic crack that echoed through the stunned silence. The instructor went limp. Stephanie released him and stood, her broken wrist dangling uselessly, her face pale from pain and adrenaline crash. "He's not dead," she announced to the horrified class. "Krivathi physiology includes a redundant nerve pathway. He'll be paralyzed for approximately 6 hours before full motor function returns. Medical can expedite that to 3. She looked down at Vekthor's unconscious form without satisfaction or remorse. "But he'll remember that Category 7 durability doesn't mean Category 7 lethality. We break easily." She held up her ruined wrist. "We just don't stop when we break." Harrison was already moving, his medical kit open. "You absolute maniac," he muttered, beginning emergency stabilization of her fracture. "Had to make a point," Stephanie said, her voice finally wavering as shock began setting in. "He broke my wrist. Professional discourtesy." "You could have just reported him," Harrison said, applying a compression field. Stephanie's smile was razor-thin. "Where's the lesson in that?" The Galactic Academy medical team arrived 4 minutes later. By then, Stephanie had already requested her training evaluation be rescheduled. She had no intention of missing recess or any other classes. Broken bones healed. Reputation, once established, lasted forever. Word spread through the academy within the hour. The human cadet who'd turned her own injury into a weapon. Within a day, the story had reached 3 star systems. Within a week, Instructor Vekthor, once he recovered, requested Stephanie as his personal apprentice. He'd finally understood what Earth's veterans had been trying to tell the galaxy for generations. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their absolute refusal to recognize when they were supposed to lose, and sometimes that refusal wore a smile.